Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome back. We got some news to talk about today. Some interesting things going on, which you guys probably heard about already by now, as it's been making its way across social media, and that is the ban on Huawei devices here in the US, especially with Google no longer permitting them to have access to Google services, which technically does kind of cripple the company itself, but we're going to talk about that. And then also the FCC actually backing the T-Mobile Sprint merger with a few things in mind in order to make this merger deal go through. So the possibilities now of the merger that we've been hearing about and waiting a long time for just seem to just kick up another notch. So let's start off with the merger and talk about that real quick. So for the longest time, we've been hearing that T-Mobile and Sprint are going to merge. They've been wanting to do this in the quest to build out 5G, not in just cities, but also in rural areas. So they have this plan, this idea that they will have 5G spread out all across the country. And that is their main push to allowing the third and fourth largest carrier companies in the US to actually become one company itself. Now, the chairman of the FCC, Ajit Pai, actually confirmed that he's backing this deal, as well as another Republican, Brendan Carr, who also thinks the deal would be actually good to drive the market and competition, as well as have 5G built out all across the country. Now, there are deals to this, basically, that has to be done in order for them to actually approve it. 3 of the 5 members of the chair members of the FCC actually are willing to approve this, but one is that T-Mobile, or the new T-Mobile, will have to promise that they will not raise prices on their mobile plans for 3 years, and the other is that they would actually have to have Boost Mobile sold. So that is the other thing here. Now, I'm actually for it, because Sprint is in dire straits, and it's just pointless to keep that company on its own. So them selling off Boost Mobile is the one thing that I think is going to kind of hurt a lot of consumers, because Boost Mobile is a very big MVNO company. There are a lot of people that are on Boost Mobile, and if Boost Mobile no longer is part of the deal, where do they go? Me personally, if I had to think about it from a business standpoint, basically if Sprint and T-Mobile were to merge together, they would have to sell off Boost Mobile. Why not sell off Boost Mobile to the actual CEO of Boost Mobile, allow them to fully own themselves again, but also give them Sprint's basically CDMA network, which might be an unpopular statement because a lot of people are like, switch Boost Mobile over to GSM so they can have GSM unlocked phones and all this hoopla or whatever. But that would actually require them to be sold to something like AT&T to be able to piggyback off their network for a GSM network. Boost doesn't have the financial foundation to actually build out its own GSM network, and it already is synced and relying on Sprint's CDMA network. And Sprint's CDMA network basically is going to drop anyways once the deal goes through, because everything will be on T-Mobile. So why not just allow Boost to run on the network that it's already running on and give them the network, sell the network and the brand, and just let Boost Mobile be on its own, so that way it has a point of thriving. Because if not, Boost Mobile will tank really, really, really bad. It will go down without having any company to piggyback off of, and without a strong network to support it. It's just gonna tank super fast. If Boost Mobile was to take over Sprint's CDMA network and actually run it, they can actually do deals with other companies like Unreal Mobile that piggybacks off the same network, and actually be able to thrive financially as a standalone company. Yeah, so we'll see. Like I said, I keep following this merger, and I will let you guys know exactly what's happening with the merger. Now, the thing with Huawei, because I know this is going to piss a lot of people off, obviously, on the political standpoint, we know that the U.S. and China are in trade wars right now. They simply keep increasing tariffs on one another, which is the taxes that's paid to import products. And so with China and the U.S. in a standoff without any type of trade deal agreement, basically it kind of hurts those people who are fans of Huawei. Now, me personally, Huawei's are nice devices, and they're actually really good. Don't get me wrong. I will not crap all over a Huawei device, much less an Honor device. I had the Honor 8, and that was like probably one of my favorite phones, that came out of there. But right now, because of this whole bad deal going on, and Trump's executive order basically kind of pushed Google, which Google didn't really want to, but it kind of pushed Google that they had to strip Huawei of access to Google services, and basically Huawei would have to rely on AOSP in order for them to even use the Android operating system. But security updates, security patches, things like that, they won't get. This really does hurt, because while the name Huawei is the first one to be affected by it, and I'll tell you guys right now, the reason why Huawei is the first one to be affected by it is because the CEO of Huawei is actually related to a high-ranking member in the People's Republic of China's military, their army. And we know how China is, right? China, while it says People's Republic, is not really a republic country. But hey, you know what? We can't knock another country for the way that they think. That's them. They can do them. We do us. But it does affect us in a way, because Huawei has been given, we've been getting some good devices from them at a fairly decent price compared to what we market here in the US, with phones going over $1,000, i.e. iPhones. It's going to kind of hurt. But even though they chose to basically go after Huawei, because Huawei has been in the limelight, the daughter of the CEO was arrested in Canada not long ago, being held for some shady deals. At the end of the day, the consumers are the ones who are affected. For those people who have actually bought Huawei devices, you guys are the ones that are going to be affected really bad. And then it doesn't stop there with Huawei, because you also have to think other companies like ZTE, other companies like Xiaomi, OnePlus. I mean, these are all companies that are based out of China, and they could all be impacted as well. So what would that do for a lot of American consumers? Pretty much put us back in the dark ages, where it was all about Samsung, LG, Motorola. Well, actually, you can't even rely on Motorola. Motorola is Lenovo. Lenovo's Chinese. So we'll just basically be knocked back over to iPhones, Samsung, LG, and HTC, which doesn't really help out quite a bit. Yeah, that's going to set us back in the dark ages really bad. So while we can all scream and get angry and tweet and make all these things or whatever, let's just hope that this trade war between China comes to a close soon, and that we can get back on track, because this is actually pretty damaging to the community themselves. I mean, like I said, a lot of you guys love Huawei devices. There are a lot of people who will stand firm with Huawei devices, and there's even people who live in other countries other than the US who love Huawei. And while we jump the gun on things that are going on with government and things like that, I don't try to get too political on my channel, so I won't actually get touch base into that. But I can understand the fact that a lot of people are going to be impacted by Huawei. So, well, not by Huawei, but what our government is doing in this trade wars with China, that is affecting companies like Huawei, ZTE, etc. So we can only stand by and watch, and hope that this comes to a head and they come to some sort of resolve where it's not drug out for years, because that just definitely would hurt the market. But anyways, guys, that's pretty much what I got for today for you guys. Anything you guys want to comment on, leave it in the comment section of the video, and let's discuss it there. I'll probably do a podcast later on today and go more in depth there about it. So if you guys want to, you guys can follow me on my podcast, Technically Geeked, and we can discuss it there too as well. But for that, I'll leave you guys now with your own thoughts. So as always, aloha.